Most people think wealth looks like a mansion, a Ferrari, and a fat bank account, but real wealth hides in plain sight. You might be closer to financial freedom than you think. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand. Let's start with sign number 1. You've stopped spending money to impress people. This is one of the most powerful and most overlooked signs that you're on the path to wealth. And it sounds simple, but most people never actually reach this point. Think about it. When you were younger, or when you were broke, what did you do with your first paycheck? Most people bought something visible. New shoes, a night out, an outfit they didn't need. Why? Because spending felt like proof. Proof that you were doing okay. Proof that life was good. Proof that you belonged. But here's what nobody talks about. That urge to spend on appearances is directly tied to insecurity. When you're not confident in where you're going financially, you compensate by showing people where you are right now. And the moment that urge disappears, the moment you stop caring whether people see your watch, your car, or your lifestyle, something massive has shifted inside you. Wealthy people are famously quiet about money. Studies consistently show that most millionaires drive ordinary cars, wear simple clothes, and live in modest neighborhoods. Not because they can't afford more, but because they stopped needing approval a long time ago. So ask yourself honestly, are you still buying things for others to see? Or have you quietly stopped caring? Because if the answer is the second one, that's not just a personality shift. That's a wealth mindset taking root. And it's worth more than any paycheck. Sign number 2. You're paying yourself first, and it's becoming automatic. Most people have the same financial habit, and they don't even realize it. They get paid, they pay their bills, they spend on food, entertainment, subscriptions, and whatever else comes up. And then, at the end of the month, they save whatever's left over. And what's usually left over? Almost nothing. This is called paying yourself last. And it's the reason millions of people work for decades and still end up with nothing to show for it. But something quietly shifts when you start getting rich. You flip the order. The moment your salary hits your account, a fixed amount moves, automatically, into savings or investments. Before the bills, before the groceries, before the weekend plans. You don't think about it. You don't negotiate with yourself. It just happens. This is called paying yourself first. And it is one of the oldest, most proven wealth-building habits in the world. Here's why it works so well. When money is gone before you can see it, you adapt. Your lifestyle adjusts around what remains. Human beings are incredibly good at surviving on what's available. And that same instinct that once made you overspend will now make you stretch what's left intelligently. The wealthy don't save what's left after spending. They spend what's left after saving. That single sentence separates two completely different financial destinies. So if you've set up even a small automatic transfer on payday, whether it's into a savings account, a pension, or an investment portfolio, don't underestimate what you've done. That habit, compounded over years, is the quiet engine behind most real wealth stories. Sign number 3. Your money is starting to make money. There comes a moment in every wealth journey that feels almost unreal the first time it happens. You check your account, and you notice growth that you didn't earn with your time. No extra shift, no freelance project, no bonus from your boss. The number just went up on its own. That's the moment your money started working for you. This is called passive income or investment returns. And for most people, it begins smaller than they expect. Maybe it's a few pounds of interest from a savings account. Maybe it's a dividend payment from shares you bought months ago. Maybe it's rental income or returns from an index fund quietly compounding in the background. The amount doesn't matter at first. What matters is that the mechanism is alive. Because here's the truth about wealth that schools never teach you. There are only so many hours in a day. If the only way you earn money is by trading your time for it, your income has a hard ceiling. Your body gets tired. Your hours run out. And the moment you stop working, the money stops too. But assets don't sleep. Investments don't take sick days. A well-placed fund or property works through the night, through weekends, through holidays, silently stacking returns while you live your life. The wealthy understand this deeply. They obsess not just over how much they earn, but over how much their money earns. They build streams. They diversify. They let compounding do the heavy lifting over time. So if your money is already generating even a small return, celebrate that. Most people never build that first stream. You have, and streams, over time, become rivers. Sign number 4, you've stopped living paycheck to paycheck. This one sounds basic, but don't underestimate how significant it actually is, because the majority of people, even those earning decent salaries, are one missed paycheck away from serious financial trouble. Think about what living paycheck to paycheck really means. It means your entire life is balanced on a single thread. The rent is due the moment the salary arrives. The credit card gets paid just enough to avoid a penalty. The emergency fund doesn't exist, so any unexpected expense, a broken boiler, a car repair, a medical bill, sends everything into chaos. That is the financial reality for a staggering number of people. Not because they're careless, not because they're lazy, but because nobody ever taught them how money actually works. So here's the sign you need to recognize. If your salary arrived this month and you didn't immediately feel that familiar knot in your stomach, that quiet panic of calculating whether everything will stretch far enough, something has changed. If there's a buffer now, a small cushion sitting in your account that wasn't there a year ago, if you paid your bills and there was still something left, not just pennies, but actual breathing room, that is progress. Real, meaningful progress. That buffer is the foundation of everything. It's what allows you to take opportunities instead of just surviving. It's what stops one bad week from destroying months of hard work. It's what separates reactive living from intentional living. Wealthy people don't just have more money. They have more time. Time to think, plan, and choose, because they're not in constant financial survival mode. If the panic is gone, even partially, you are already ahead of most people around you. Sign number 5, you've started thinking in years, not weeks. This is a shift that most people never notice happening, but it is one of the clearest signals that your relationship with money has fundamentally changed. When you're broke or financially stressed, your entire mental energy is consumed by the short term. Can I afford this week's groceries? Will I make rent this month? How do I get through the next 30 days? Every financial decision is made through the lens of immediate survival. And when you're in that mode, long-term thinking feels like a luxury you simply cannot afford. But something quietly changes as wealth begins to build. The questions change. You stop asking how to survive this month and start asking where you want to be in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10. You start thinking about pension contributions not as something distant and irrelevant, but as a system you're actively building right now. You start looking at investments not for quick returns, but for what they'll look like after a decade of compounding. This mental shift is enormous, because the entire game of wealth is played over time. Compound interest, the most powerful force in personal finance, is completely invisible in the short term. £100 invested today looks laughably small right now, but left untouched for 20 years at a reasonable return, it becomes something that genuinely surprises people. The wealthy think in decades. They plant trees they may not sit under for years. They make sacrifices today that their future self will benefit from enormously. So if you've caught yourself thinking further ahead lately, planning, projecting, building towards something you can't yet see, that's not just good financial behavior. That is the mindset of someone who is quietly, steadily getting rich. Sign number 6. You've built an emergency fund and you actually leave it alone. This sounds straightforward, but the reality is that building an emergency fund and actually protecting it are two completely different challenges, and most people fail at the second one. Almost everyone knows they should have savings set aside for emergencies. Financial advisors repeat it constantly. 3 months of expenses. 6 months ideally. Keep it liquid, keep it separate, keep it safe. The advice is everywhere. And yet, study after study shows that the majority of people either have no emergency fund at all, or they dip into it regularly for things that aren't real emergencies. A sale that's too good to miss. A holiday that came up last minute. A new phone because the old one felt slow. These feel justified in the moment. And that's exactly the problem. Because an emergency fund only works if it's sacred. The moment you start treating it as a backup spending account, It stops being a financial safety net and becomes just another pot of money waiting to disappear. Here's what separates people who are quietly getting rich from everyone else. They've mentally reclassified that money. It no longer feels like available funds. It feels untouchable, off-limits, almost invisible. They've built a psychological wall around it. And when a genuine emergency hits, that wall is what keeps their entire financial life from collapsing. There's also something deeper happening here. Leaving your emergency fund untouched requires delayed gratification. It requires saying no to yourself repeatedly, in moments when yes feels completely reasonable. That muscle, the ability to resist immediate pleasure for long-term security, is the same muscle that builds all serious wealth. If your emergency fund is sitting there, growing slowly, and you haven't touched it, that discipline is worth more than the money itself. Sign number 7. You've started saying no to things that don't serve your financial future. This is one of the most uncomfortable signs on this list. Because saying no, especially to people you care about, goes against everything our social instincts tell us to do. We are wired for belonging. We want to join the group holiday. We want to split the bill at the expensive restaurant. We want to buy the round of drinks, contribute to the group gift, show up to every celebration in a new outfit. And in the moment, all of it feels completely normal, because everyone around you is doing the same thing. But here's what's quietly happening beneath the surface. Every yes to something that doesn't align with your financial goals is a no to your future. Every spontaneous purchase, every social obligation you fund out of guilt, every lifestyle upgrade you make because your friends made one, these are not innocent decisions. They are trades. You are trading future wealth for present comfort and social approval. The moment you start recognizing these trades clearly and choosing differently, everything begins to shift. This doesn't mean becoming antisocial or obsessively frugal. The wealthiest people are not miserable people who never spend. They spend intentionally. They choose where their money goes with purpose and clarity. They enjoy their lives, but on their own terms, not on the terms that social pressure sets for them. So if you've started declining things that once felt automatic, if you've suggested a cheaper alternative, skipped an unnecessary purchase, or simply said no without feeling guilty about it, pay attention to that. Because that boundary you're drawing around your money is exactly the same boundary that wealthy people draw around theirs. Saying no strategically is not restriction. It is direction. And direction is everything. Sign number 8. You've started investing in yourself, and you're seeing returns. Most people think of investment purely in financial terms. Stocks, property, savings accounts, pension funds. Numbers on a screen growing slowly over time. And yes, all of that matters enormously. But there is one investment that the wealthy prioritize above almost everything else. And it's the one most people completely overlook. Themselves. Books, courses, mentors, skills, health, knowledge. These are not expenses. They are the highest returning investments a human being can make. And the moment you start treating them that way, your entire trajectory changes. Think about what a single skill can do. Learning how to manage money properly, understanding how markets work, developing a high-income skill in your industry, improving your communication or leadership ability. Any one of these can add thousands to your annual income. Compounded over a career, the return on a book that cost £15 or a course that cost $100 can be genuinely extraordinary. Here's something the wealthy understand deeply. Your earning potential is your most valuable asset, far more valuable than whatever is currently sitting in your bank account. And that asset can be grown, sharpened, and expanded deliberately. Nobody is born with a fixed ceiling on what they can earn or achieve. That ceiling is built from knowledge, skill, and execution. So ask yourself honestly, in the last 6 months, have you spent anything on learning? A book finished, a podcast applied, a course completed, a mentor's advice genuinely followed? And more importantly, have you seen any result from it, however small? If yes, you are already doing what most people never do. You are compounding yourself. And a person who is growing is a person whose financial future is quietly, steadily expanding. Sign number 9. Your net worth is growing even when your lifestyle isn't changing much. This is one of the most satisfying and most misunderstood signs on this entire list. And when you finally notice it happening in your own life, it feels quietly extraordinary. Most people measure financial progress the wrong way. They look at their salary. They look at what they can afford to buy. They look at whether their lifestyle has visibly improved. A better car, a nicer holiday, a bigger flat. And if those things haven't changed, they assume nothing is moving. They feel stuck. They feel like all the discipline and sacrifice isn't actually working. But here's what they're missing. Lifestyle is not the measure of wealth. Net worth is. Net worth is simply what you own minus what you owe. Your savings, your investments, your assets, minus your debts, your loans, your liabilities. And the beautiful thing about building wealth the right way is that your net worth can grow significantly while your day-to-day lifestyle stays almost exactly the same. Your rent didn't change. Your grocery bill is similar. You're not driving a different car. But your investment account has grown. Your debt has shrunk. Your savings have compounded. Your assets have appreciated. On paper, you are worth considerably more than you were 12 months ago, and nobody around you would even know it. This is called stealth wealth, and it is exactly how most real millionaires are built. Not through dramatic lifestyle leaps, but through quiet, consistent, invisible accumulation happening in the background month after month. So if your life looks similar from the outside, but your numbers tell a different story on the inside, if your net worth is climbing while your expenses stay controlled, do not be frustrated by the lack of visible change. That invisibility is the strategy. That patience is the weapon. And the results, when they finally become undeniable, will be worth every quiet, unglamorous month that built them. Sign number 10. You've developed a genuine sense of financial peace. This is the sign that ties everything together. And it's the one that's hardest to explain to someone who hasn't felt it yet, because it's not a number. It's not an account balance or an investment milestone. It's something that lives quietly inside you. And once it arrives, you recognize it immediately. Financial peace is not the absence of money problems. Even wealthy people face unexpected expenses, market downturns, and difficult financial decisions. Financial peace is the absence of financial panic. It's the ability to face an unexpected bill without your heart rate spiking. It's sleeping through the night without running calculations in your head. It's looking at the future and feeling possibility instead of dread. Most people have never experienced this. And that's not their fault. They were never taught how money works. They were handed a salary and left to figure out the rest alone. So they spent their entire adult lives in a low-grade financial anxiety that became so normal they stopped noticing it was even there. But you've been doing the work. You stopped spending to impress people. You started paying yourself first. You built your emergency fund and protected it. You said no when it mattered. You invested in yourself and watched the returns arrive. You let your money make money. You thought in years, not weeks. You watched your net worth grow in silence. And now something has shifted. The anxiety has softened. The panic has quieted. You don't know exactly when it happened, but somewhere between the discipline and the patience and the small, consistent decisions, a foundation was built beneath you. That foundation is wealth. Not just financial wealth, but the kind of deep, unshakable security that changes how you carry yourself through the world. You are not just getting rich. You are becoming someone who stays rich. And that, more than any number in any account, is the real sign that everything is working.